everyone. Welcome to Real Dad Speak, a show where real dads share their stories about being present in their child's lives with the goal of raising responsible adults. I'm your host, Sarah McClure, and my guest today is Darren Johnson, better known as Shadow. Shadow and I met in 1998 when we were both assigned to the Detroit Police Department's narcotics section. I was assigned to the Prisoner Processing Unit, better known as PPU, and Shadow was assigned to the Street Enforcement Unit. Shadow is a proud dad, and he is currently the director of safety and security, Detroit Lions slash Ford Field here in Detroit, Michigan. He is one of only 32 stadium directors. Today, I'm going to talk to Shadow about achieving his success as the youngest son in his family, the youngest child in his family, and raising his son to be successful. So, welcome, Shadow. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, Sarah. Or can I call you Squeak since we're giving
Hey,
code
hey,
names?
hey, 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 hey. All right, it's fair.
Mhm.
All right. So being the youngest child of 11 children, um, did your opinion count? Were you allowed to hang with your older siblings when you were growing up?
Well, I'd say I wouldn't say hang. I would say follow until that was cut off. But being the youngest of 11, you are blessed with being nurtured by 10 others, being
Okay.
taught the good, the bad, the ugly. You get the whole gamut. So it's just coming from a large family, you have a huge village. And I was blessed to be a part of the Johnson clan.
Were you ever called spoiled by anybody?
Eh,
Were you considered spoiled?
Well, you say spoiled. You said it in the past tense. I still get it at
Oh, okay,
56.
good.
Yeah, I get it at 56 years of age. But
Okay, good.
when you're the last of 11, it's kind of hard to if you didn't grow up in a family of millionaires, it's kind of hard to be spoiled. But I will say this: my mom used to say they used to say you mom's favorite, and she was like, I don't have any favorites. And then when they walked away, she'd say, Yeah, you are my favorite. So
She kind of like Deion Sanders. You know how he rates his kids every
right,
week. So
right,
yeah, she
exactly.
like
So.
yeah. And people say, "Oh, you can't have no favorite." I love all of my children the same, but they're all different. So yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
okay. So how did you feel about being that special person, the favorite?
Blessed
Yes. Okay.
because we're talking about who you were blessed by, first and foremost, God, but God's child, the person who taught me everything I know about loving the Lord and showing what being a true matriarch is. And if you the mother of 11 kids, you the real deal. So just a blessing and to be, it comes along with the time. I came along last, so I was the last baby she cradled. So of course I would be considered her favorite. So there were no more after me, but just a true blessing to have my mom.
Okay. So how
Mhm.
many sisters and how many brothers do you have?
Six girls and a total of five boys, and we have been blessed. We just lost our first sibling. We go from 56 to 76, and lost my our first sibling in 2023, which is a
Uh,
true blessing. Not many people can say that. He
yeah.
lost the battle with cancer, which is we know it's taken a lot of people out of here, but we are truly blessed that we were able to enjoy each other this long. So we
Mm,
just got to keep it going as long as God allows.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, what did your mom and dad do for a living with 11 children?
My dad was a journeyman plumber for the city of Detroit, and then after he got out of the holes in the streets, he became the supervisor of the water and sewerage, and he did that until he retired. He did it for 30 years. My mom worked for the Board of Education for 30 plus years until she was injured leaving work one day, had a slip and fall, and caused her to have some head injuries, and that was it. But she never stopped working because she taking care of her family was her life outside of the Board of Education, and then she became when she was at home, she became everybody's babysitter. I just wasn't and when DJ came along, she was done with the babysitting. The years had gotten to her, so I'm just blessed that he got to spend quality time with her. So
That's good. That's
mhm.
good. So you got a lot of role models to choose from. Who were your role models? Just pick five or less.
Five or less. That's
Yes,
kind of
just
hard because
okay.
they say to be inclusive is to be exclusive, and so it's kind of hard to
Okay.
do that. But I will say this: my number one role model was my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My my dad, he taught me hard work. He taught me a valuable trade, and I'll never go hungry. I know that.
Okay.
I would say my brother Gary, my brother Jerry, Gary's twin,
Okay.
my brother Calvin. I'll give you those five. That's in my family because we're speaking of the family, but there have been a an immense number of people outside of that throughout everything I've done in my life, from sports to um, law enforcement, and some people just on the personal side. So I could, that list could go on and on. We'd probably exhaust the time on this podcast if I told you all of the men and women who are important to who I being me being who I am today.
So now your dad was a journeyman plumber, so you
Mhm.
followed in his footsteps. Your brothers followed in his footsteps.
Yeah, everybody followed in the footsteps, but when it came time to making career choices,
Mm-hmm.
uh, as you know, um, uh, three of the five boys became law enforcement officers, and he was pissed. But but we still, when we had
Uh-huh.
time, we still engaged in plumbing. You know, I did a lot of plumbing for a lot of people in the police department, so
Mm-hmm.
he was satisfied with that. You know, he probably would
Okay.
have wanted us to start our own company and that type of thing, but we wanted to be crime fighters.
Okay. So
Mhm.
what did you want to be when you were growing up?
A police officer. My brothers, you got to remember the age disparity. My brothers, when I was on safety patrol in elementary school at Stewart Elementary, both of my brothers, Gary and Jerry, were on the police department, and Gary worked the Big Four, and they would ride through the neighborhood, and I'd be like, "That's my brother." And one of his partners stopped at my post one day and said, "Little Johnson, he's going to be a police officer." He said that in front of my friends. I never had. I was a good basketball player, good at all sports, but um, basketball was my passion, but my career choice was being a law enforcement officer.
After that remark, or just watching your brothers, you just knew they just made it
I
look
just knew
special.
I was geeked. You know what I mean? One was in plain clothes, one was in uniform, and nobody messing with me in my neighborhood because they knew they knew that they used to call our house the Johnson Mini Station. Yeah, so
Okay, what high school did you go to?
Detroit Central High School.
All right. So you grew up in Detroit, right? Born and
Grew
raised
up,
in Detroit.
born and raised in Detroit in the 10th precinct. And I ended up working in the 10th precinct. That's funny at one time in my career. So born and raised, and
All right. Were you popular in school?
I I'd say yes. I was, as you know, it never stopped, but I was the class clown. I was really smart though. I was the only guy you would get all A's or you, get. I had a graduated with a 3.57, but along with those grades came the three
Sistership.
for citizenship. And my mom knew it. My teachers would tell her parent, he does his work always on time. Does an excellent job. He even helps others. But when he finishes first, he starts cracking jokes and disrupting other people doing their work. So it was, you know, I would get short punishments for that, but the grades are what did it. So
Mm-hmm. Okay. So after you graduated, you did you go and immediately become a police officer, or did you do something else and then say,
no,
"Okay, they hiring now. I'm gonna be a police officer."
I went away to school to play basketball,
Oh,
and then I
which school did
lied
you go to?
to Fair State.
Okay.
And then I lied to my parents. They racist up here in Big Rapids. And my father's like, you don't shut up. I came from Birmingham, Alabama, but that was my excuse to get back
Trying to get
home.
back home. Yeah,
Yeah,
homesick.
yeah, I miss my girlfriend, my high school girlfriend, that type of thing. Just being truthful. And Kim hate when I tell that story, but I am the transparent. But that was it. And come back home and went to Wayne State and continued that. And but I lost my girlfriend because I shouldn't have came back home because I thought I was that guy. So yeah, and then after that, I had an opportunity they approached me out somewhere, and a recruiter was like, never knew who I was, knew nothing about my family background, and they were like, "You should join the police department." And I applied, and I didn't hear anything for a while. Then I got a call out of nowhere. I had to do everything in a week:
Wow.
psychological, physical, agility test. And I started the academy August 28th of 1989.
Wow. In a
Hmm.
week. That was a big rush then.
Yeah,
Wow. Just
it was
drop everything.
a big.
Wow.
I had a great job too. School. I had a great job. I was doing worked for a company doing um, hot water treatment for a company
Mhm.
called Dehydro, and a lot of plumbing. And that's what my dad was really proud when I was doing that. So, but then the opportunity came, and I took full advantage of it. I started the academy, and it was over after that.
Your heart just fell in love. You're like, yeah, I can do this. This is what I've
Yeah.
always wanted to do.
This is what I
Okay.
always wanted. I always wanted to do it on my own without my brother's names or reputation. I wanted to be Darren Johnson in the police department and have my
Wow.
own identity. So,
So now you got this great police job. So after you get in the job, when did you consider getting married and having a family? Was
well,
it right after you got it, or
no, it wasn't. It wasn't right after. It was some years. I didn't get married until 1995. I met my wife, my now ex-wife. I met her before that, and off and on. We couldn't stand each other at first, and but
you
I
crack
tell
too many jokes, right?
nah, that wasn't it. It was just I don't know. She thought she was it, and I thought I was it. So,
Okay.
and usually that,
Y'all
but
just alike there, huh?
yeah, but it was still something there. And then decided to get up to propose and got married in '95, and we had our son in 1999. Best thing that ever happened to me. So I don't have anything bad to say about her because she gave me the best gift, God's greatest gift. So
Now, did you guys want more than one baby?
we want, and what God we tried, but it was tough getting DJ here. So it
Okay.
was got to the point where you don't want to put anybody through all of that
Right.
physical and mental anguish. So thank God for what we had and moved on.
Yeah. So now,
Mm.
growing up being the youngest, though, did you ever say when you look, I think I would like to have like at least 5 or 6 kids myself, have my own basketball team or something like that? Did that ever cross your mind?
No, I was a realist, and I still wonder how my parents did it, but they made it happen. But I was thinking about I want to have some bread. Kids are expensive, so I was just
so,
thinking.
so do each of your siblings have at least one child, or do you have some siblings that don't have any kids at all?
I just have one sibling that does not have any kids, but so she's everybody's you know her
Favorite?
very well. No, she's everybody's mom. I'm talking
Yeah, I
about
was gonna say she
Cheryl.
the
So,
favorite auntie. She the
yeah,
favorite auntie.
yep,
Yeah.
right. So
So everybody else has at least one child.
everybody else has at least one. Me and my
Okay.
brother next to me are the only people with one, or the only
Okay.
siblings with one. So
That's cool. That's
mm.
cool. So now, let me see. What's my next question? Okay. So, um, you have a son. Are you guys really, really close?
I would say we are really, really close. I would say very close, and it just
Okay.
after we've always been close. He was the guy that whenever you saw me from a baby, I would be going into the gym to hoop with him in a carrier, sitting
Okay.
propping him up on the bleachers. So he's always with his dad. Then he got to the point in life when they get to that teenage years when they want to be with their friends, or now I'm gonna stay here hoop in the backyard. I don't want to go with you, that type of thing. But I don't think we've ever lost our closeness. We've had heels, bumps, and bruises and heels as growing pains as a father, learning to be a father, getting better at it, and a son growing up, going through the stages of life, but always remained on point.
So he following your footsteps, going to college and graduating, and
Yeah,
what is he doing now?
he is now the athletic director for the Boys and Girls Club of Southeast Michigan. His office is in East Point, and he's doing his best to turn that program around. The thing with that is a huge organization. It's known worldwide, but there are certain pockets in the region that kid participation is at an all-time low, and he was assigned to one of the lowest populated locations, and now he's doing his best to spearhead an immense growth, and he has been successful. Even in the short period of time, he has grown a program. They are so much more than sports. It's just keeping kids off the street, giving them avenues, positivity, if it's financial literacy, if it's basketball, baseball, football, e-games, just keep them busy.
Now, when he was in school, he played sports too, right?
Yep, he
What
played
was
followed in his dad's footsteps and played basketball. He did very well, and but his passion has always been trying to give back to the kids. You know, he was the only child, so he used
uh,
to say, "Yeah, I wanted a brother and sister and all that kind of stuff." Then he said, "Oh, I'm straight now," but he said, but he's dedicated to the kids. So
That's beautiful. That's
mhm.
beautiful. So now you guys are cool, and you hang out with him or whatever. So how do you show him that you love him?
I tell him that I love him all the time. That was something
Okay.
I can say this. My dad was old school, born in 1925 in Birmingham, Alabama, and he's like, "Yeah, none of my sons gonna grow up to be no sissies and all that kind of stuff." Excuse that word. I'm just mocking. I don't.
Right.
I stand. I love everybody. Love who you love. I love everybody. But he was that guy, and I don't think my father ever told me he loved me in his life, in my lifetime. But
Mhm.
I think he showed his love by being there, by being a provider, by teaching you a trade, by disciplining when you needed it, and sometimes when
Mhm.
you didn't. But
Your opinion.
yeah, exactly. But it was kind of, I got whoopings for others. When you got 11 kids, you might get a whooping for somebody else doing something they thought you did. So yeah, it was sometimes that I didn't need it, but and I always promised myself that I would always tell my son I love him, and telling him is not enough. It's
Right.
showing him, hugging him, and to the point where my son will come in and hug me and tell me he love me. Dad, he'll text me. So I think he's getting it, but he's telling me this. It's gonna be a long time before you're a granddaddy. So
Well, he
behind
only
it,
is he 21 yet?
no, he'll be 25 June 30th. You
What?
we getting up there, Sarah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he'll be 25. So
I still want him to be a baby.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, he's a young
Man.
man.
Wow. Because I
Yeah.
was like, I know he's young and accomplished already, but
Yeah.
wow. I just wasn't anticipating that many years.
Yeah.
Wow.
June 30th,
Wow.
a quarter century.
Wow. Wow,
Mhm.
man. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. So now he didn't follow in your footsteps to become a police officer.
Nah, he
Did you
said that
want
too.
him to become a police?
Nah,
Oh,
I wanted him to do what he wanted to do. I've
okay.
never pushed anything on him.
Good.
These days it's different from when we grew up. It was like we grew up with sometimes people telling you what you couldn't do. I told
Uh,
him you could be anything that you want to be, and don't. And it sounds so cliche at times, but you can be anything that you want to be, and whatever you be, as long as you're a constructive citizen and a good person, I'm gonna support you. That's all I care about, man.
that's beautiful. That's
Mm.
beautiful. Now, in addition to being a role model for your son, I'm sure you're a role model to your nieces and nephews. And how many do you have, nieces and
Uh,
nephews?
Nieces and nephews, if we counting nieces and nephews, great nieces, great
Over
great, I mean
20?
great. Oh, probably close to 40. You talk about 20. They trying to
Okay.
repopulate the world. Hey, I don't even think half of them was born when We Are the World came out, but they must have heard it.
How many do you have? A lot that are older than you, or y'all the same age?
No, I
None.
don't. I don't have. Oh, I do. I do have one two niece and nephew that are older than me by my father's oldest daughter. Yes, I do. They are
Okay.
by a
Okay.
couple of years, but everyone else is my junior. So
Okay.
and one of my nieces is I'll be 57 this year. She'll be 54. We grew up together more. We were more brother and sister than niece and nephew. So she was my baby, and we still close to this day.
So do any of them? Did any of them try to be like you and become the police?
You know, yeah, I had a nephew, which you guys shared the same code name, Squeak. he
Yeah.
followed in all of our footsteps, and not only did he become the police, he rose to the rank of commander, and he
Mm-hmm.
recently retired, and now he's in the private sector. He's the director of security for the UAW International. So,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Congratulations to him.
yeah.
So, what kind of advice did your nieces and nephews ask? I know they had to, because
It had used to, it still do, just
Oh, okay.
yeah, life lessons on
Hmm. Okay.
parenting, relationships, and now it's just so funny as you grow older and we stop trying to blame our woes on the world
Mm-hmm.
and realizing when they're wrong and how do I get better and what should I do and what can I do to make sure that this never happens again, whether it's in a relationship and parenting and financial, that type of stuff. And I'm not saying this to say I have all the answers, but it's a blessing that you're someone that they feel confident enough to come to with their
Yeah.
with those questions. So I thank
Yeah.
God that I remembered all the life lessons of my mom, and I always tell what my mom used to tell. Mama may have, and Papa may have, but God bless the child that has his own.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
don't depend on
Yes.
anybody. Yep. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
hmm
So, when you were in your 20s, who did you ask advice from? Your mom more so, or your dad, or your brothers?
well, I would say my mom and my brother Gary,
Okay.
because my brother Gary was my hero.
Yeah.
He was the guy. He was the first police officer. He stepped out on faith, and he wanted to be the police. And the police were they weren't calling. Then the fire department called. He went to the fire academy and excelled. He was about to join, and the police department called, and he left. And it seemed as if when he moved out, he had the sweetest apartment, nice car, all that kind of stuff. He was that guy that you saw that did it the right way. I didn't see at that age. I didn't see drug dealers and all that kind of stuff. I saw my father go to work every day and come home and dinner on the table. I saw my brothers uh, work hard doing. So I would say my brother Gary and
Mhm.
my mom. The blessing is I could talk to my mom about anything, about girls. How people used to be like, don't ask me that, mom. It was never like that. And she would give you the real deal. And her thing was never about me and girls. It was
Mhm.
about how to treat girls.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's what helped me in my relationships. You
Hmm.
know, and
Yeah.
sometimes, treat people with I ask for three things: appreciation, love, and respect. And you got to give it. Keep your hands off of them. If you feel you got to put your hands on them, leave. That ain't you with the wrong bag.
Yeah. I like
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
So now you have had a very successful career at the police department. You worked executive protection for celebrities visiting the city, and you also were executive protection for the mayor of Detroit. So how did that and your overall police career prepare you for running the security at Ford Field?
Well, that the EPU was just a small portion of my career. I worked a lot of places, and precincts, third precinct, 10th precinct, narcotics, organized crime, violent crimes, executive protection, domestic violence, the non-fatal shooting task force, and I just think there were so many others. I
Mm-hmm.
just think a lot of that prepared me. It over prepared me to do my job. The biggest transition I had to make from the public sector to the private sector was remembering that I'm not the police. I'm not there to arrest and all that kind of. I'm there to provide a service of customer service. I'm there to be a liaison between law enforcement and our organization. I'm
Mm-hmm.
there to provide guidance to the contracted security company that we hire that covers not only our stadium but our headquarters in Allen Park.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there to tell them what we need to write policies and procedures to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that all of the employees and are abreast of all safety and security protocols. So I think that law enforcement over prepared us, and that to get back to the first part of your question, that the executive protection, it taught me about the importance of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me the importance of when you meet someone, be a
Mm-hmm.
consummate professional and present yourself. Make your first impression. That person that when they see you, the next time they see you, there's not anything they won't or wouldn't do for you that time, and they feel that it would be reciprocated. So just being a consummate professional, availing you to places and people that had I not been in the position in the assignment, and then ascended to the commanding officer of that unit, I
Mm-hmm.
would not have. I would not have made those relationships or traveled to those places. I wouldn't have gone to Africa. I wouldn't have seen every celebrity or president you could think of and been places and those type of things. And just I remember meeting President Obama
Mm-hmm.
when he was a senator. He was in the mayor's office, and he was I think he was here to try to garner the support of the mayor in the city of Detroit for a presidential run. And all the women and guys wanted to take pictures, and I was always this guy. I used to tell my guys, "Hey, we got to stay fast. And you see these stars, we're not taking pictures. We got to stay on
Right.
post. When you're taking the picture, your principal is being injured." So
Mm-hmm.
President Obama asked me, "Would you like a picture?" I said, "No, sir." He's like, "Oh, you don't want a picture, man? I wanted that picture so bad." But how I'm not knowing that he would be the president, but knowing that who he was and what he did in the Chicago and Illinois, but the
Uh-huh.
slight chance that he would have. But I told my officers they couldn't. How would I look
Right.
doing it? You know, you got to practice what you preach. So I
Leadership.
did. Yeah, but so it availed me a lot of things and things that I reach back to now. Like I had a conversation with the deputy mayor today about he needed me to do something, and anything you want, she still calls me Shadow. I got you, and I believe that. I'm just blessed that I don't have anything that I really need. Our organization provides me everything that I need to be successful.
That's good. That's
Hmm.
good. Yep. So on a scale from 1 to 10, and 10 being the highest, how much fun is it being a director of the Detroit Lions Ford Field?
I'd say a 10, and it's more at this point in my life when it's a blessing. I was talking to some guys about everybody that you know, Kevin Robinson, Daryl Patterson, and Jeff Johnson on opening day, and we were talking about that. It's a blessing, and I will never knock law enforcement, but just to be where I am today and not have to deal with the social ills and woes of cameras and sensitivity and anger and
Mm,
disconnection. I really don't have to deal with that stuff. The worst thing I have to deal with is getting reports of intoxication in the stadium and or just dealing with those things. I don't have to deal with it but until the aftermath. But it's just a blessing. I am so thankful for law
yeah.
enforcement, but I'm more thankful to God that I didn't know that for those 27 years the Lord was preparing me to do the job that I'm
Hmm.
doing today.
Yeah. So how long have you been at Ford Field?
This is my 10th season. I've been with 12 years with the team. I did travel protection for the team and ownership for 2 years while I was still active in law enforcement. And then I get a call one day, they want me to interview for director. I never knew the job was open or they were seeking. So after a 2 year search and 96 people applying and 26 interviewing, I was 27. I
Wow.
got the job.
Congratulations.
Thank
So how
you.
many employees do you have? How many thousands do you have?
Well, I'll just tell you a lot of contracted employees through safety and security.
Uh-huh.
Uh, we contract with Safe Management. They handle the 24/7 security. They handle all of the event security courtesy team. They have on game days and upwards of 1,000 people working at one time. Then the Detroit Police Department, Michigan State Police, Wayne County Sheriff's, Federal Reserve Police, Wayne State University's Police Department have an average of 170 law enforcement officials at a game, and that's kind of a record number across the country and as it pertains to football stadiums, because as we know, different cities and different states have different laws and contractual rules. So,
Mhm.
with having being blessed with that amount of support or resources, the Detroit Lions and Ford Field were ranked number one in overall fan experience for the 2024 season. It's not just about how you play on the field. It's how you treat people when they come to your stadium. It's how
Yeah.
clean your stadium is, how safe they feel, how from the entertainment to the DJ and those type of things. So just and all mine is just relationships that being blessed
Yeah.
with. Benny Napoleon and Chief Hope at Wayne State, and Robert Hendricks, the chief of the Federal Reserve, Chief White, my dude, who he 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 uh, he is big in wanting success for me because he understands that Detroit is the city that rose from the ashes, and we're not trying to return it to that place. And I
Not
just
at
have,
all.
yeah. So
Not at all. Not at all. Well, all right, everybody, we're going to take a quick 60-second break. Stay tuned. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
The holiday season is just around the corner, and that means birthdays, anniversaries, company events, and so much more. Well, we found the perfect place for your next event, meeting, celebration, or whatever it is that you want to plan. And it's right in the shadow of downtown Detroit. Welcome to the Channel One event venue, the perfect place for that special event. It doesn't matter the season. You can enjoy our spacious mood-lit event space inside or enjoy our private courtyard outside. Give us a call and reserve your space. Bookings are going fast. The Channel One event venue, located at 444 Meldrum Street, just off Jefferson, in the shadow of downtown Detroit. Call 313-670-7646. By the way, it's also the perfect place for the concert after party. The Channel One event venue.
Welcome back, everybody, to Real Dad Speak. And now, Shadow, we've come to the part of the show where I call it my final five. I'll either ask you a question or fill in the blank. And number one, what's one of the proudest moments you can remember about being a dad?
June 30th, 1999, the first time in over 15 years that I didn't have to work the fireworks because my son came into this world. Standing at that table and watching him come into this world, leave that birth canal, and I said, "Whose white baby is this?" And then
It's
later
so
on,
silly.
he was so pale, and I was like, "We ain't gonna have no problems, are we?" But just that, it was so surreal because I was like silly Darren boy, Snag as they used to call me, Shadow at work, and I'm somebody's daddy now. I'm responsible for this guy. That was the proudest moment in my life, man. I don't care graduations and basketball
Promotions.
and
Yeah.
all that stuff. That I mean, I love my job, but my job doesn't make me who I am. I make the job, but fatherhood makes me who I am. Fatherhood, I think, is going to determine if deems me worthy of walking through those gates.
All
Did I
right.
do? Did I do what I was supposed to do? Did I set him up for success? Did I Was I a positive role model? Was I perfect? No. Did I disappoint him at times? Probably, yes. And we've discussed it. But the great thing is that our relationship is so strong that he can share that with me and I can apologize for it and he can accept my apology and we can move on and laugh. I raised another silly young man who has a great personality who talks a lot less than me, but is just as funny.
Oh.
Hmm.
Yes, yes, yes. All
Hmm.
right. So, who gave you the best advice growing up? Your mom, your dad, your brother? And why would you say it's the best advice?
Because it's my mom, and
Okay.
because I say it all the time, and I say it tomorrow morning. I have to go to a school and talk to some kids, and I share this, especially the college kids, because they ask this question a lot. My mother told me, if you are the smartest person in your circle,
Hmm.
find you another circle.
All right.
And it's because you want to surround yourself with like-minded people or people who even want more, who've achieved more, who know more, who can help you grow. Because
Hmm.
you if you're the smartest person, only thing you're gonna get from them is yeah, do that, yeah, good or bad. So if you're and my mom gave that to me, and my mom's circle was her family.
Okay.
but she was
Yeah,
she was
good
a
family.
oh yeah, she's a nurturer. So my mom taught you a lot just by not by talking, just by her actions. She was about what she said she was about.
Yeah. May she
Mhm.
rest in peace and your dad as well. Man,
Yeah,
you got a
yeah,
good foundation, man. And
yeah.
my other podcast, I had one of my uh former employees on it. He's a counselor. And
Mhm.
he was saying that DNA is very important. And when we think stuff happens in our life, we think it just happened. No, it's the DNA. It's
Yeah.
learned behavior from our ancestors. So your mom learned how to take care and nurture from her mom or her aunt, her grandmom or something, and it's got passed along to you, your brothers, your sisters, and now you're passing it on to your kids, your nieces and
Hmm.
nephews know about being loved and nurturing and taking care of one another, and that's
Hmm.
just beautiful. That's
Yep,
a
it is.
beautiful thing. Yeah,
It's a
that's a beautiful
it's a
thing.
blessing. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. All right. Number three. What was one of the
That
hardest
was that.
lessons
It's
you?
not. It's number two, wasn't it?
No, this is
The
number
wife.
three.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Let me
No, no,
let
no.
you keep up with your podcast. This you all you. I'm just
Well, you know, I expect for you to do what you do. When you're in
right.
charge, sometimes you just can't step
Nah.
back. All right. So number three, what was one of the hardest lessons you learned while growing up?
I wouldn't say. Well, we can. I continue to grow up, even at
Okay.
this. But one of the hardest lessons that I learned was a spiritual lesson, and I think it's what keeps me grounded. You, we talk about success in law enforcement. You know, finding your way, and then you get promoted, and they put you in units, and then you improve those units, and you know how, in politics, because policing is politics, they'll tell you, "Oh man, you did a great job with that unit. Hey, why don't you go over here?" And I started getting to the point where I was like, "Yeah, I did that," and that's how I would talk. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
man, I went over there, and what I was failing to do was give God the honor and glory for the ability to think, the physical abilities to perform my duties, and just giving Him the praise. And I wasn't. I thought it was about me. And one day in church, man, I was something happened at work, and it kind of humbled me and took me out of a comfort zone and put me somewhere I didn't want to be for something that I didn't do. And I'm thinking it's about the job, but it had nothing to do with the police department. It had everything with God showing me He'll humble you. and
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it was that humbling experience. And I was in church one day, and Pastor Kenlock was like, "Don't talk, stop lying to God, because you lie. Stop lying to yourself, because you can't lie to God.
Right.
If you say you get me out of this, I'll never do it again. God knows there's a great chance that you may do it again, but
Mm-hmm.
thank you for His grace and mercy that He is a forgiving God." But it was like everybody in the church disappeared, and that message to me was, give me the credit I deserve for the blessings I bestow upon you. And I was crying tears, man. They was just coming down my, oh my God, man. I'll never forget that day. That was the best lesson, man. A lesson from the
Mm-hmm.
Lord, man, that has me. I think that, a lot of people um, uh, will ascend in life. You get promotions and jobs, then they change who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I'm gonna stay the same guy that I am. I'm gonna try. People will mistake my confidence and laughter and all that for I'm not cocky. I'm just confident in who I am, and but I know whose I am. I know who
Yes.
I belong to. So I give everything that I do. People, man, thank you, man. You did. I didn't do nothing. God put me in a position and gave me a resource. He put us together because I knew somebody and I provided you. Thank God. Oh man, I'm just saying. I get it all the time from this one guy, man. I'm so proud of. I get
Yeah.
it all the time, and man, thank you, man. That's what I was talking about earlier. His name is Tevin Kellum. He's our
Mm-hmm.
new director of team security, man. He ain't even 34 years old,
Wow.
and he
Wow.
is a dynamic young man, and I am so proud. I'm so proud of him that I cried when they told me he got it. I was in the
Wow.
interview process and all that, but I had to be hands
Right.
off and show. What I mean, I had to remain neutral, but he's an awesome man. We went through a long process with him, and he beat out some candidates with some extensive and impressive resumes because of he's God fearing, just a good kid. So that
That's
back
good.
to that list, I get off track because I'm just full, and I'm so thankful. But
It is Sunday. You probably went to church and got a good sermon,
yeah,
you
I
know.
went. I
So,
didn't go. I went. We had a UFL game. I went to church
oh,
yesterday
okay.
for a security meeting, and we prayed and all that. So
Okay.
I get it in. I ain't got to go to church to pray.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Hmm.
Gotcha. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh
that's
yeah. Did I
good.
mention Triumph Church? Reverend Solomon Kinlock Jr. Yeah, that's where I go.
Oh. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. I meant to ask you that too. All
Hmm.
right. So number 4, fill in the blank. What 3 adjectives would DJ use, your son, use to complete this sentence? My dad is blank, blank, and blank.
My dad is loyal. My dad is caring. Yeah. My dad is funny. Hmm.
Okay. All right. Number 5. My final question is, what advice would you give to a young father or young fathers who are thinking about walking away from their children because they are not getting along with the mother of their children?
Well, I would say this: you have to first be realistic with them. You can never walk away from your children because either you're gonna be tied financially. I'd rather be tied financially, emotionally, and in love with my children. I would say this: no matter what the relationship is between you and the mother, they're
Right.
always going to be your child. You can't discard a child. You
That's
can't
right.
you can't get rid of it. And the worst thing that you could possibly, and you'd hate to experience this, is to be hated by your child because you walked away from. And I think back in the day, when I didn't know better, I would say a man is weak. I don't know what people go through these
Right.
days. People handle things differently, but I could not see walking away from my son because he needs me. If
Mm-hmm.
my son were to be on another path because I left and he was on another path, how can I blame him?
Mm.
It's not everybody's not strong enough to say, okay, my dad did this, I'm gonna do just the opposite. It sounds good, and that's a good story. That's like that slow clapping in the basketball movie. It sounds good and it speeds up and the story gets better, but it's on you. You are, and it takes two people have to just get to the point where they remember that this one thing. When you conceive a child, it's no longer about you.
Right.
It's about that child. Your club hanging days and all your hobbies and all that stuff takes a back seat to rearing a child, preparing them, getting them ready for life. The only for you to walk away, things have to be gray and dim to the point where maybe that child was even corrupted to a point where they started to adopt their mom's ways of thinking, but still don't walk away from that because there's always a chance to win them over. Oh, there's gonna be a part in that kid's life where he's gonna be at school and was a girl, a daddy daughter dance, and she ain't got no daddy. Do you want somebody else to try to fill that role, even if it's a relative or uncle, when it's your responsibility? Do you want that to happen? Do you want somebody else to walk your child down the aisle? Do you want your son goes to the pros and he say, I want to thank my Uncle Ronald or the man down the street because my dad wasn't there for me. You want those type of situations? You want to be there for the entire ride to provide the advice along the way, to listen along the way. That's a big thing these days. We have to learn. We're quick to judge and talk about, but it's such a generational gap with some of us. We gotta sometimes you gotta close that gap to see what are you hearing, what are you feeling, what's going on with you, what is your generation thinking, what are your point of views, instead of trying to parenting is not all about telling people what to do. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's listening and not even offering advice, just listening and supporting.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, sir. That was very informative. And
Mhm.
congratulations on your 10th season with the
Yeah.
Lions and Ford Field. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And
Hey, and since we're talking about dads who are in their children's life, can I give a plug to my son, Darren DJ Johnson, athletic
yes,
director of the Boys and Girls Club of Southeast Michigan, the East Point location, located at 9 in Gratiot. They're looking for kids. It's an opportunity. If you know someone in the area, just doesn't have to be East Point. in the general vicinity. $25 memberships get your kids football, baseball, basketball, e-learning, financial literacy, somewhere to go. If you need a break after school, you take your kids there. Um, uh, it is a huge program. It's it's fully funded. It's uh, it's not pulling out your purse strings trying to just get you for everything, but they give everything to your kid. And they have some awesome employees that make sure that your kids are not just ready. It's not even a sports thing anymore. It's a life thing. It's
Mhm.
interaction with other children, things of that nature. It's uh, incident resolution. It's so much, and these kids need it. Some kids need to get out of the home. They need to get out of the neighborhood. They need to experience something different. So if you want to learn more about it, you can go on his Facebook page. It's Darren Johnson the second. Real handsome dude in this picture. You'll see him when you type in Darren Johnson, common spelling in the second. He'll pop up. It'll be right under Darren Johnson the first, but I ain't the first, just Darren Johnson. But check him out. I'm proud of that dude, man. I thank God for that guy. I love that dude, and I'm gonna continue to do all I can to support him in everything that he does in life.
Well, thank you. I know he
Mhm.
appreciated it because I do. I do. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you, everybody, for watching Real Dad Speak with Darren Johnson.
thank
Um,
you.
we'll be back next week with another episode. You can watch us on YouTube or Spotify Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.